Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and part 2 of the Vauxhall Corsa flip video. So, where are we up to with it? Let me give you a tour. Not really looking a whole lot different from how you saw it last time around. However, we have had a few treats arrive in the post, which means that we can do a few small upgrades. So today, what we're going to be doing in this video is starting our prep of the car. So we will start cleaning it. We're going to start doing some work on the machine polishing of the car as well. And there's a few other things that I'm also going to attend to that I've noticed on the car as well. So, for example, the windscreen wiper blades are quite tatty, so I've ordered some new ones of those. So we're going to be fitting those on the car. We're going to be changing the spark plugs. Now, I did think the spark plugs had been changed under the service, but I think the word service is quite a generic word, and you'll find that most of the traders that use the word service, they're often referring to just an oil and filter. So we're going to do the spark plugs. We're also going to do the air filter, and we're going to put a fuel system flush in, and that will just make sure that the engine's really in a good state of health. I've been on the internet, I've looked on YouTube, which of course is where we all go when we need to learn something, and underneath this cover here, which should just pull off, which it does, this rail here is the coil packs. There's two sort of hex screws in there. I'm going to pop that out, and spark plugs should be underneath there, so I'm going to change all 4 of those, and we'll see how I get on. Hopefully it should be fairly straightforward. So just a little hex attachment on a screwdriver, and we're going to pop these out. It's quite a long bolt. There's 2 on here. Okay, there's 2 of those out. Put those somewhere safe, and then this rail should just lift out. Oh yes. Okay. Is that going to be like that? I'm not sure it is. Okay, so we've got the coil pack, which looks to be quite greasy and covered in muck. That's not brilliant, to be honest. But let's put those bits down there. Let's grab some pliers. And then we have this bit here as well. So, and then a spring here, 2 springs. So in there is the coil pack. And what I'm going to do is just give this all a really good clean. But I'll get these spark plugs out first and just have a look at them. Just looking around this is quite oily. So I don't think these have been changed for quite a while. So I've just got a basic toolkit. As I said at the description on the video, I don't have any particular mechanical knowledge. So this is all stuff that's new to me. But I am assured through my diligence of YouTube that this is quite an easy thing to do. So let's loosen them all off, and then we'll pop them out and see what they look like. Pretty stiff, which I would suggest means that they haven't been changed for a while, which is no massive surprise. The challenge is when cars get to this sort of age is they generally start getting neglected. People don't do basic maintenance. And on a car like this, it's really quite inexpensive to maintain them anyway. I mean, the new spark plugs I bought for this were under £10, and that's for Bosch items. So why people don't do this sort of stuff just to keep the car running correctly, I don't know, but I guess that's up to them. Right, so we've got spark plug number 3. So they're not horrendous, to be honest. So again, I have looked on the internet. So read into that what you will. And I know what a bad spark plug should look like. It should be all sooted up and black. Now, these aren't horrendous, but they are very oily. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get some brake cleaner, and we're going to give all of this a good clean. I'm going to clean up this coil pack as well, although it doesn't look too bad, and just see how we can make that a little bit better. It certainly can't do any harm to give it a clean, so that's what we're going to do. Brake and clutch, or brake and parts cleaner. This is a Holtz one. I'm just going to give this a spray. Try and get rid of some of this muck that's all around here. Again, it just certainly can't do any harm to give it a clean. And we try again. We're not chasing perfection with a car like this. I mean, it's an 11-year-old car, but I just want something that, if I'm going to sell this car, which I am, I want to sell it in the way that I would hope to receive it. So if someone were selling me a car, I'd like to receive this car in a pretty well sorted and decent state. So I'm just giving some brake here. This is the coil pack. I'm sure there's going to be people telling me in the comments that there's other products I should be using, and they're probably right, but this is just what I have. So I'm going to give this a go. Okay, so we've cleaned up all of that. We'll let that just drain off for a little while. I've then got these rubber, almost kind of piston type things, and these are pretty oily, to be honest. Now, as I said, this car has received a replacement engine, so I'm mindful of the fact it's probably had oil leaking around. Which way did they go? That's the next question. So I have springs here. I have one end with a tip on and the other end which has just got a spring, and I actually can't call which way around they went. Although in there, that's at the top, so that might suggest. Okay, we're going to try it that way around. We're going to give them all a good clean. So all the contacts and everything else are cleaned, and we're going to pop that in there. Now, I knew core pack for one of these because I have been. This car has a very slight. I think it's a misfire. This car has. It's nothing major, but it is noticeable. Right, it's not going to be particularly interesting if you were watching me cleaning up parts, so I have done most of that off camera. What I've done is I've taken these rubber, I guess bushes, gaiters, whatever you call them, off. I've soaked them in brake cleaner and just given them a wipe, and they're much cleaner. I'm putting these back now. I believe they go that way round, but it remains to be seen. Let's see, okay. We'll soon know, because when we start the car, well, if it doesn't start, then we've got the answer to our problem. And if it does start and it runs better, then we also know that this has done some good. So it may well need a new coil pack. They aren't expensive on a car like this. I've already priced them up. They're at 35 or 40 pounds, perhaps a tiny bit more. But of course, the plan with this car is just a bit of a hobby, really, to see if I can turn something into a bit of a profit. So I have to be mindful that I'm not going to be, this is never going to be a high value car, so I don't want to be spending loads of money on parts when I'm also not necessarily competent enough to know that what I am changing is actually going to make a difference. Right, let's get the new spark plugs. The new spark plugs are in. They look a big improvement anyway over the ones that I've taken out. So we're going to put those in with a hand tighten these, and then we're going to give them a bit of a nip up with the ratchet. So that one's in. I think, well, 15 years ago, if you were working on a car, or perhaps we did have YouTube 15 years ago, but certainly it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. You really were stuck trying to do anything. I remember restoring a Volkswagen Beetle with my sister, probably 20, even 25 years ago now. We didn't really know what we were doing, but everything was on a Haynes manual. It was asking somebody. It wasn't very easy to do anything on that car. Whereas now, again, I've just been on YouTube and I've taught myself, well, I hope I've taught myself, I'm not sure how good I'm going to be as a student, how to do this. So let's give those a nip up and see. Right, not too tight because I don't want them cracking. Right, so that is all the spark plugs changed. So what I'm now going to do is pop this back in, and hopefully it's going to go back together the way it should. Seems to. And these long bolts, I'm just going to hand tighten them first, and then we'll do them up nice and even and flat. And I'll get this Torx screw. Okay. So everything else down there seems to be good. So we can put the engine cover back on. Just goes down. And that is the spark plugs changed. One of the easiest fixes on a car, of course, are wiper blades. And this car doesn't look like it's had any wiper blades for quite some time. So we're going to give all of them a refresh, including the back one. The great thing about this car let's take the old one off and see how you do it. So it's a click. Right, that way round, should be that way round. Success, rear wiper blade done. Alright, so let's move on to the fronts, which have most definitely seen better days. How does that attach? It's on a spring, okay. So there's some kind of thing in here. One's actually just disintegrated in my hand. It's that old, so we will certainly be doing well to change that. It just pops in and that should just click by the look of it. Yeah, there we go. That's one wiper blade. There's the other one. Yeah, I mean, who runs around with wiper blades like that? It's just easier to just break these off. Right, and now, funny cover, I've seen one of those before. And then wiper blade number 2. Great, I'm going to call that a success. So next job we're doing is the air filter, because I'm fairly confident, judging by these bolts, this hasn't been done either. So again, I have checked this out on YouTube and it looks to be fairly easy. So 4 screws down here to undo, which we'll do now. That's 2 of them. Three, and then 4. And then we've got 2 what look like 6mm bolts. There we go. Just slacken those off. And that's all loose. I should just then be able to pull that out. There we go. That's the air intake pipe, and that just comes off. So yes, I think that has definitely seen better days. So let's chuck that out. What I'm then going to do is cover up the piece that's putting air into the engine. Just give it a bit of a clean with the air compressor. Some old leaves and goodness knows what in there. Keep my hand over. Then we will use a bit of brake cleaner, which is just like the magic stuff for cleaning everything. It just dissolves straight away as well. Give that a clean with an old microfiber cloth. And then just give it another blast with that. And again, I'm putting a new air filter in, which was the princely sum of £4.50. So easiest job in the world. Slots in like that, and then we're good. I might just give that air temperature a bit of a blast. Some brake cleaner as well, and clean the inside of that pipe. The wonderful noise of the air compressor kicking back in again. So that then should go back, sits in there. Manipulate that back in. We'll do these up first. So we'll just tighten those back up. They're nice and tight. And then the 4 bolts I took out, put those back in again. So the air filter should just help the car breathe a little bit better. So it helps the fuel consumption. I'm not sure it's going to help any sort of idling or misfire as such. But again, I'm no mechanic, so maybe it will. It certainly can't do any harm. So it can breathe nicely. But that one does look pretty bad that I've taken out. So we are nearly there. But the other thing I might try and do with this is clean the MAF sensor, which someone else again online said these can get quite clogged up. So that is done. Air filter replaced. Going back again to the old one. I don't know how old it is. Sometimes they have dates on them. don't think this has pure flex or pure flux, whoever they are. So anyway, it's changed, it's good. So we've got new oil filter, sorry, new spark plugs, we've got new air filter. So we're certainly helping the engine. Okay, so it's a couple of days later and we've tried changing the spark plugs, or we have changed the spark plugs, but unfortunately it hasn't solved our misfire problem. So I'm doing what I think is the next thing it needs, which is the coil packs. So a little bit of a, I guess, a gamble here, because it could be something else, but I'm assuming it's going to be the coil pack. So I've ordered a new coil pack, given they were really cheap anyway. This was about 35, I think 40 pounds actually. So I'm just going to swap this over. Should be a really straightforward fix, just a little plug here, which I'll show you. So this little plug at the edge here will pop out. So I'm just going to pull that little orange thing back. In fact, I can probably do that live and show you as I'm doing it. Get a little tiny screwdriver, pop that in there, and that should then just allow me to squeeze that, and that pulls straight off. Then it's just a case of undoing these two bolts, popping that out and popping the new one in, and I'm hoping that's going to solve our issue, but let's see. So if this doesn't solve it, then I don't want to just keep throwing new parts at the car, because it's going to, even though parts of this car are actually pretty cheap, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to go and try and get some specialist help on the car, because otherwise I can very quickly be ratcheting up money on a car that's got pretty tight margins anyway. So let's just pop this out, which is quite stiff. There we go, but it's coming. But I mean, anybody could do this. So changing a coil pack or spark plugs. There we go. So there we go. That's the old one. Let's sit the new one in. So that can go down there. Then we've got our nice shiny new one, which I'm sure is just a copy of some sort from China, but never mind. Let's check that plug fits. Looks like it does. So literally, that's it. So some cars have individual coils, meaning of course you can change the coil per defective coil, assuming you can work that out with diagnostic equipment, which of course I don't have. So I'm just going to pop this in here for the sake of 40 quid. We just know that the whole ignition system is basically fresh and working as it should do. It certainly can't do any harm. So that's in, and then we'll pop these two bolts back in and do it up. So I never do one up tight first. I always tighten one, then the other, just to make sure it's going down nice and evenly. And I'm not really going to know how this is performing, because it was actually driving okay. It's only when you get up to speed and you can notice it's still misfiring a bit, and particularly on the hills. So I'm pretty sure, even though this is not a powerful car, and I'm used to driving cars which have quite a bit more power than this one does, it definitely doesn't have enough power. So I think this is worth changing regardless. So the new owner is going to have a nice, fresh setup. So that's how quick it is. So like I said, anybody could do that. So I'll put the engine cover back on, and I'm hoping this will be the last time I have to take this engine cover off. But let's see. And that's not quite right, is it? There we go, it's kicked in. Right, we're done. So let's see what a difference that makes. Well, I'm going to call that a win, because I've just taken it for a run and it seems the misfire has finally gone. So I think that was a good 40 quid on a new coil pack. So we've got a new coil pack, we've got new spark plugs. So hopefully it's going to run really well. It does still feel quite slow, but I think that's just the car. I don't think there's actually anything wrong with it. I think it's just an underpowered car. So that's just is what it is. But anyway, I'm going to call that a success.